Question is, what do we need to do to strengthen this movement? Well, this is a conversation that we are going to have this morning. And of course, I'm joined by David Mategwa, the chairperson of Police Sacco. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, David.
Thank you, Brian.
And of course, on the left of David, we have Daniel Marube. He's the executive director of Co-operative Alliance of Kenya. Asante sana.
Asante.
Marube for joining us too. And I want to start with you because you're at the apex body of the cooperative movement in Kenya. When you look at this industry, I mean, and I know you've been here, for quite a long time. Would you say that this industry is now facing one of its tremendous challenges so far?
Well, I will not say that it's a biggest challenge, but the solidness, the foundation upon which cooperatives have been set up, especially the Sacco subsector, is extremely very solid and strong, very resilient. That in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact that it had in society, we still managed to emerge very, very, very strongly. Of course, we know that there were some sectors which was highly impacted, affected, especially the tourism sector, where people lost their jobs and the business which depends on people traveling from outside the country to come and enjoy the beautiful weather we have in this country. That sector was greatly affected. But otherwise, I could say that we emerged stronger than before. We even had good surpluses for our members. Our memberships are growing. We have had a bit of challenges, yes, but we are overcoming. We are adapting more towards the usage of technology in terms of how can we serve our members without necessarily physically coming to our premises. And yes, I could say our savings have continued to grow. People have continued to take more loans. That we can see right away now that the uptake of our loans, the loans that we are giving out to our members, has gone up tremendously, more especially because of the consumption rates. You can see when the economy is not doing very well, people are consuming more than they could be doing more savings. And you have noticed that we have been having very short academic terms in school. Yeah. So this frequency of students, our children coming over short periods and they are going back to school, it has a great impact in terms of our savings, and therefore people are taking loans to meet those needs in education. So, but otherwise I could say that the cooperative sector in Kenya is very solid. We have been able to overcome most of the challenges that was brought about by the COVID-19, and the future of the cooperative movement is extremely very good.
It's extremely good. But also it's proper to acknowledge that, the combination of the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to significant losses of jobs and of course of revenue streams, as coupled with the high cost of living that, the world is grappling with. These are tremendous challenges, that are facing your members. But I'll be coming back to you to hear that. Let's now turn to Mategwa. You see, you are the chairperson of the top 5 biggest SACCOs in this country, actually number 3. And you've been around since 1973. When you look at, savings in terms of membership, in terms of the amount of savings, that members are depositing in the account, vis-a-vis what you like 10 years ago, do you see any changes in percentage-wise?
Thank you, Brian, for inviting me to this show. I want to just tell you, you have just said 10 years, and it's like how the sector has been moving. 10 years back, there's no comparison you can compare the way the SACCOs are being run now. In terms of growth, I think we have grown almost, I can say maybe 300% growth. We have realized that when we started being regulated, when the regulations came into place in SACCOs,
the SASRA,
we saw a very
trajectory growth in all circles, and in terms of loans, in terms of mobilization of savings. So I can say the future of where people will have to be saving their money and bring their money, knowing very well the money will be very safe, will be in the SACCOs. This is something that we are seeing what is happening in developed countries, for example, United States of America. The SACCOs are very strong there, and there are people who are born and they have worked, they have retired, and they have never seen the door of any financial institution other than credit union. So this is where in this country we are heading to, because we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of governance, in terms of service delivery. People have really adapted technology, and this makes us very strong, and we are seeing the future being bright. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, the last time I had this conversation with you, back in the year 2021, I mean, of course, the country was, and the world was emerging from the crisis of, coronavirus pandemic, and there was agreement that, this has impacted your members, this has impacted our productivity, and also there was a spike in terms of the operating cost of a number of SACCOs. Would you say this is still the case?
I can tell you we experienced the impact of the pandemic, but I can tell you now SACCOs have gone ahead, and they have moved from the pandemic more stronger than we were. The pandemic came, but I can say it was also a blessing in disguise.
There was a silver lining.
Yes,
in the dark cloud.
Because it made us to change the way we operate. Mm-hmm. We realized that this is the time, because the world was locked down, there were no movement, and members were supposed to be assisted. Members were supposed to be served, because that was the time they needed actually to be assisted by the SACCOs, by giving them loans, reducing interest rates, so you make them so that they can be able to have to place a meal on the table for their family. So that made us now people to adapt technology. Those who are not serious in terms of embracing technology, they were forced now, because we started having virtual meetings. Our members could just operate, transact wherever they are on a virtual platform to get their money, to deposits, to take loans, and that one has made us more stronger, and the trust of our members, the confidence level has gone up. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Turning on to Mategwa, I mean, from where you sit, what would you say has been one of the biggest, turnaround in this industry that was brought about by the coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, number one, we have as a cooperative sector, we have invested a lot in education and governance. Mm-hmm. Now, we learned a lot through the impact of COVID to improve our efficiencies on the manner in engineering, the manner in which we deliver services to our members. And our members also have learned that there is no little money that can inhibit you from saving, because we have put this culture of saving in our people, that if your income is reduced, that does not mean you don't save. Because we have learned that from COVID-19, those people who had a greater savings had a better life than those who didn't have the saving. So we have tried to teach our people, and we are learning that it's very important to save more when you have an opportunity. That even during this time when incomes were reducing, people continued to save, because we have learned that you don't know what tomorrow has for you. So we have that culture of saving that we have continued to enforce through education. And number two, we have improved our efficiencies, the manner in which we are processing the loans, for example, the manner in which we are serving our customers, either through virtual, through internet, through mobile banking, and the like. But remember also that our core purpose, our existence as cooperatives or SACCOs, for example, is not making profits, because we are not motivated, driven by profits, but to provide access to affordable financial services. It is this accessibility and affordability of financial services that has driven us, that we are seeing even more and more people coming and joining cooperatives than it has been before. And we have testimonies, we have testimonials, we have examples on how members of the cooperatives have been able to change their lives and their economies and their families through cooperatives, in terms of helping people to access affordable loans for housing. We are supporting education extremely very, very, very well. We are the people who are supporting that sector in terms of school fees loans and the like. We are the people who are now supporting the agricultural sector. We are financing their farmers in a great deal to access fertilizers and seeds, and giving them short-term loans so that they can be able to improve the agricultural productivity, so that we can be, our people can have self-sufficiency in terms of food security. And therefore, really, I could say yes, in some areas, some SACCOs some cooperative societies were highly affected. During the dry season, for example, the dairy sector has been extremely affected, because the animal feeds, the cost of animal feeds has gone up extremely high. We have been having a very long dry period. So those SACCOs in that subsector have had their own challenges. But we thank God that now the rains have come, that we will be seeing some rejuvenation. And even the tourism, the tourist subsector, they started picking up with the local people, the Kenyan people traveling to coast and other areas. And that's how we have been able to start rejuvenating and improving the cooperatives. So the spirit of cooperatives in our people is what is driving us, is what is making our cooperatives stronger. The confidence people have in cooperatives. We are taking cooperative leaders to continuous training so that we improve on governance. We also have regulations, as my colleague has said, regulations that gives people confidence and trust in the cooperative movement, knowing that now your resources are very well taken care of in a very democratic way. We have just finished doing our elections across the country. We have new leaders, people coming back into the leadership. So those are some of the things that are strongly helping us. As you notice also, we have challenges in some employers who have not been remitting the deductions of members towards the SACCOs, especially the county county governments and some of the parastatals, including universities. Those are the areas whereby we understand that they are not getting enough resources, but there's no reason why they should not be remitting those deductions to their members. Those are some of the areas that we are having challenges, remittances, and we are really very much concerned about it.
Mategwa, I also want to hear from you. You see, the SACCOs, have always been the go-to financial service provider, especially for small people or smallholder farmers, if you like it, for soft loans. But we are living in an era where now, even telecommunication companies, have come on board, with new innovations whereby you can just borrow money from the comfort of your chair. How has this impacted the industry going forward?
That's a good question, and maybe I want to say that SACCOs are no longer only for the small people. It is across the board. Everybody, those who are in this country, they are members of the cooperative, including the parliamentarians, including even the head of state, His Excellency the President, is a member of a SACCO. So it's not a SACCO. A SACCO now is, because the loans we give, we don't give small loans. We no longer do that. We are giving people loans where they can purchase a house. We are giving our members where they can go and start a big business. So,
no. What I mean with that statement is this. I mean, if I'm a member, of a certain SACCO and I want 10,000 shillings, I want 15,000 shillings, within 1 or 2 days. I mean, instead of going to friends and I have my savings in a SACCO, I'll just dash there, apply for the loan, and within the next 24 hours, I have my money in my account. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
So the SACCOs you are talking of, small loans, and for 2 days, they were the SACCOs of 10 years, you had said. But the current situation now is that we are really competing with the other digital lenders, because we are also having those platforms that our members are able to access those loans, 20,000, on their phones, wherever they are. And they can get it right away, and they start paying also through the mobile platform. So what we are saying is that the service delivery for SACCOs have really improved. If you can enter a SACCO's front office, and you might think, if you do not read properly when you are coming in, you might think you are in these big banks, well set up, well organized, and serving members. And you won't see even members, because most of the SACCOs are now digital. And I said the coronavirus has taught us a lesson. That is why we moved. And what I can say, Brian, to make our SACCOs more strong, when the regulations came, we did a lot of capitalization. The regulation came with how you can make the institution very strong, financially stable. So it found us when we are at least strong, and that is why we moved from that challenge more stronger than we were. And we have learned that coronavirus is not going to be the last. You have seen the invasion of Russia in Ukraine. It's affecting also the global economy. So we are continuing to make sure that we do more capitalization. Instead of paying everything we have in terms of dividend, we leave behind. We do a retention, we increase the minimum capitalization, and we make our institution very strong. We don't know which other disruption is coming tomorrow.
And I like the fact that you have said that, in the modern day SACCO, when you go in, I mean, you get confused. You can even get confused. Am I in a commercial bank? Or where am I? And the question comes, are SACCOs... do they want to become commercial banks?
Oh, no. No. The reason is a capital no, because our model is quite different from what other financial institutions do. This is a social economy activity that we are doing. The owners are at the same time the customers. So it's a model that we cannot change. And even if we grow, we cannot move to a territory that we are not familiar. We will remain, and we are getting this.
But we have also seen a situation whereby some SACCOs would want to evolve into a commercial bank.
But it has not gone through. Tell me which one.
But the desire is there.
The desire maybe used to be there, I can tell you. But the situation now is that everyone wants to build a strong SACCO. And we are benchmarking from the United States of America, where we have the strongest credit union in the world, where we have 2.5 million Navy credit union, School First, state employees, they are having massive mobilization of resources. They are so big, but they have not become banks. So for us, we want to make it more stronger. Yes.
I see Marube wants to throw in a point there.
Maybe 1 or 2 points. Number one, digital lending. It has made ease for members to access loans. Our main principle of giving loans as SACCOs is we encourage you to save, because that's the only way you can create wealth. We give you the loan when you have a place to invest. All right? And before we give you the loan, we want to assist the member find out, where are you going to invest? How is it going to improve and increase your capital, in your wealth going forward? But you see now with digital lending, people are borrowing even when they didn't want to borrow. And at the end of the day, they are consuming that money. Indeed, I want to confirm to you that we have a lot of people within the cooperative sector who have borrowed from every channel, that they will continue paying their loans for so many years without seeing exactly what is the money they borrowed, where did they put that money to. So as cooperatives, we are encouraging our members, don't borrow unnecessarily. Borrow when you have a reason. Borrow when you want to put the money to grow, so that you can grow your capital. You can become rich. The cooperatives, our principles are completely different from banks. We are based on the principle of mutuality. It's for all the good of the members. So we are not, even though we look like banks, we are offering services similar to what the banks can offer, but our principles are different. We are not going for profits. We are enabling our members to access affordable financial services, to improve their well-being, to improve their wealth, to grow their wealth, so that as you grow old, Brian, you have something for your children, and your grandchildren will say, because my father was a member of a cooperative sector, this is how he built something that we are enjoying today. And we want cooperatives, the spirit of cooperative, to become a way of life for the Kenyan people. Because this is the only way we can change the manner in which our lives are going to change going forward. We can't depend on the government only. We are saying that the government give us an enabling environment, create good laws, give us peace, do the roads for us. We do business, we do cooperative business. That's why you find that as cooperatives, we are non-aligned. We are not political parties. We are cooperatives. We have a spirit of cooperatives, that we come together, we mobilize Kenyan people together to mobilize the local resources for our own use, for our own good.
Very good. And it's still on you. I also want to hear this from you. I mean, look, and he's talked about this, the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, which has somehow impacted the global economy and has led to a spike in the cost of living, and especially more on the cost of transport, the cost of animal farm inputs, the cost of foodstuffs, and so much. And so people are torn between, contributing to their SACCOs, paying for school fees, or even buying foodstuff. Have you seen an impact, especially on your members, in terms of contributions because of the ongoing crisis?
Of course, there is a direct relationship between when the economy is doing very well, there is a greater tendency to save because you have surpluses. You save when you have a surplus. But when you look at now, the cost of fuel has gone up, cooking gas has gone up, the cost of flour and foodstuffs have gone up. Of course, it would have an impact on your savings. So if you are saving, say, 100 shillings, now because of the cost of your consumption has gone up, you might end up saving 20 shillings. But we are saying that in spite of the cost of living, in spite of the fact that your disposable income is going to go down, please find it prudent to save even 5 shillings.
5 shillings.
Even 5 shillings.
Mategwa, have you seen this trend in Police Sacco, where now the level of saving has somehow decreased, and the numbers of people saving going down as well?
Yes, Brian, because my members also live in this country. They are also affected because this is a global problem. We have experienced that the way we had projected, because we had a projection of how that we are going to mobilize the savings, you will see that people have reduced so that they can also have something to take home for their children. So it has affected us in terms of mobilizing the savings. However, we have gone out as a Sacco and we are training, which is very important to anybody who is trying to save. We are doing what we are calling to our members, taking them through financial literacy. And when you called me for this interview, I was in Elred. I had just finished training the Rift Valley region. We normally take 100 of them, put them in a hotel for 2 days, train them, bring an expert on financial literacy so that they are taken through to understand money, how to manage money, where to invest, and prepare for the retirement. And when you prepare for retirement immediately you join employment. Mm-hmm. There is no time to waste. If you do that, then you are making your life better when you leave employment. So I can tell you it is. We have experienced with that. Yes.
I know you are targeting to grow your asset base to around 50 billion shillings, and of course recruit about 7,000 more members.
Yes.
In the next 1 year.
Yes.
Do you think you're going to achieve this under the prevailing macroeconomic conditions?
Yes, and even surpass. Mm-hmm. We are targeting at the end of this year, because we are celebrating 50 years of existence of Kenya National Police TT Sacco. And our projection is that by the end of this year should be 50. Currently we are at 46 billion total assets. Mm-hmm. So I've told you we are doing all over the country, doing all the regions, the top savers, putting them in a hotel and taking them through. Bring an expert, not for me just talking to them. Bring somebody who is trained in that area to talk about how money works. Put them financial, and we are seeing it growing. Right now, we have already 68,000 members. That is the current position of Kenya National Police Sacco. Mm-hmm. We have 68. And the government has just employed 5,000 more police officers who are in their training. And you know what? That is where we are targeting them. So the number is growing. Mm-hmm. Will grow more than 70. We were projecting 70, but now we are going to surpass, because we normally go to the...
But even 65,000 members, I mean, that 68. Is half. 68,000.
Yes.
That is almost half of all the members of the police force in this country. So you still have a lot of work to do.
We still have the potential to grow this sector. And Brian, you are talking of only the police. We opened our common bond. Every citizen of this country can join our Sacco. And we have already people from other sectors who are with us. If they are listening on this studio, they'll agree with me. And they don't regret joining the Kenya National Police Sacco. The service they get, you don't need to know the chairman to call the chairman for any service or any director or any manager. No.
You don't need to.
No.
But Marube, I also want to hear from you. I mean, there has been this conversation around, creating a framework whereby, SACCOs can borrow from, other SACCOs. I know it has delayed a little bit, but as Cooperatives Alliance of Kenya, what are you doing? How are you engaging policymakers to ensure that this framework is enacted?
Thank you. Good question. Before I answer that, let us agree, all of us here, that saving requires sacrifice. That in spite of the fact that we're in a very difficult economic times, we need to sacrifice and forfeit some of the luxuries in our lives, in our consumption, to enable us to save. So in whatever circumstances we are in, there is still an opportunity to save by denying yourself a certain luxuries or consuming less in a certain areas, traveling less than you used to do. Number two, to come back to your very important question, it is just last year we had a policy that is now passed through Parliament and is a sessional paper on cooperatives. It is giving us a guideline on how cooperatives will move between the next 20 years. Within that framework, we have strongly empowered the Apex organization to come up with two issues. Number one, to consolidate the gains that we have already achieved as cooperatives. And number two, to come up with a shared platform. A shared platform, an ICT shared platform, whereby all the participating cooperatives can be able to work as a team and share resources together. Instead of you investing in several branches across the country, before the end of this year, we will be demonstrating to everybody else that cooperatives in Kenya, we have grown and matured. We will be having an ICT shared platform whereby the SACCOs can be borrowing from each other, just like banks do. We will be borrowing from each other. Our regulator will be at the center, ensuring that the resources that we have pulled together are benefiting us. Instead of the SACCOs taking, for example, the money and investing it in treasury bills, we will be sharing it amongst ourselves. For example, if the T SACCOs, for example, are getting their bonus, they are rich in cash. They can be able to give the teacher SACCOs to borrow from them. So we are going to have that platform available before the close of this year. We'll be launching it, and we will invite you to see. And therefore, technology will spur most of the activities.
So this platform is going to operate like the interbank lending platform?
Yes, it will have those functionalities. But now we will
have you agreed on how much will be the interest?
The board is discussing about it. We will be able to agree on the interest rate that we will, just like interbank lending, overnight lending, short-term period, that one SACCO can borrow to meet your immediate needs for your members. Whatever little resources you have, you can lend it to your brother. So within that, we are going to do to enable our cooperatives to really grow very fast, because it will mean that if you are a member of a SACCO here, KBC, and you are in Busia, for example, you don't need to look for your SACCO. You walk into any of the SACCOs participating in the shared platform, and you will be served as if you were in your own SACCO. All right? And therefore, we feel once we actualize it in the course of this year, you will see much growth. You will see more people trusting the cooperatives. And as my chairman has said here, we will be able to grow our numbers, and even savings will grow up. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's in our policy. It has been agreed. We already are developing an act of parliament. The bill is almost going to parliament now. As soon as it comes out, now we will be able to actualize that interlending facility put in place.
As a player in this industry, what are your feelings about that platform that the market regulator, together with other players, is planning to bring on board of interlending between SACCOs?
It will be a very good thing for the industry, because we have seen a scenario where SACCOs have more liquidity and others are struggling. So that one will enable us, because the intention here is that to make the movement more stronger than it was, and to make sure that Kenyans have confidence and trust in the sector. And we have seen our CS, Honorable Peter Munya, has done, is so familiar about cooperatives. He has brought more regulations that will improve the growth of the sector, and we have seen it growing. We're having the PS Ishmael in charge of cooperatives. We have seen even the SACCOs that those who have 100 million plus, they have been brought on regulations, and the intention is that to bring everybody on regulations, because even the 90 million that you are having there as a SACCO and you are not under SASRA, it is public's money which needs to be managed very well and have good governance at that SACCO, because any SACCO, any member that will complain, nobody will say this one is regulated and this one is not. The members will just say SACCOs, if you put your money in SACCOs, they are at risk. So that is the thing that we are seeing the government doing, and it's a good thing, and it's showing the signs are that the growth is going up as we continue expanding the mandate of the regulator. Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's also been the question of ensuring members' savings, and I know there is a bill to that effect. But how comes some SACCOs having their misgivings about the cooperative bill 2021?
The bill that is being discussed at the moment has undergone several stages of public participation. Some areas that our members had some issues have been cleaned up. Mm-hmm. So I think the bill...
Which were these?
We had issues of, for example, how do we bring the youth into cooperatives? What systems can we put in place to attract the young people, the women, to participate more in leadership in those areas? We looked at the term limit. Do we want to have the board members being in office for 1 year or 2 years? Do we want to introduce, for example, education? Do we need professors only to be the treasurers, for example? Mm-hmm. So some of those issues, we looked at it and said, we need integrity. What we need more is leadership with integrity in cooperatives, not just leaders. So we concluded and said, you can have a leader, a chairman, who is 60 years, but if he is a man of great integrity and the members want him to continue leading their SACCO on a yearly basis, renewing his mandate, then there's no problem of having a term limit in terms of leadership in the cooperatives. Mm-hmm. So the bill that we have sent to our minister to take it to the cabinet is really, we feel, is a bill that will take the cooperative movement for the next 20 years. It has undergone through a very, very, very intensive public participation across the country.
Mm-hmm. And the bill seeks to replace the cooperative bill act that came into force in 2004. And so how many years are those? Almost 15 years now. Eh?
Almost 20 years. Yes.
Almost 20 years now, actually.
Yeah.
How do you see this bill now, propelling the growth of this industry, going forward?
Yeah, Brian, I'm a person who actually embrace regulations. And we have seen what regulations can do to an organization. So the bill, according to how it has been structured, it will make the society, the SACCOs, grow more than they have been growing. And it is coming up with also, since 2010, the Constitution, we have not had looking at how the counties work, how the national government works as cooperatives. Now it is taking care of that. That means it will now make everybody understand your space. Because a scenario comes, there's a county that is coming up with its own regulations, conflicting with the national, but now since we have the policy for the national, then it will bring the sanity in the running of the SACCOs, and that means if there is a smooth running of the SACCOs, then it means we'll have more growth. Yes.
And we will also eliminate the issues of pyramid schemes that could look like cooperatives, and yet they were pyramids. We have had cases where a cooperative belongs to a person, and we have seen a lot of Kenyans who had confidence in that person, and at the end of the day, they have lost money in land, in housing schemes, and all that kind of stuff. So the bill is going to eliminate, will make sure that anybody registered as a cooperative is monitored, is known what it's doing, its objective is understood, so that we are able to eliminate any mischief from the very beginning. And number two, the leadership in the cooperative movement will be put into accountable to their members by making sure that the books of accounts reports are given and openly to the members to scrutinize and ask the members the leadership questions. All right? So we want to eliminate any opaque areas in terms of leadership in the cooperative movement to be more transparent. All right? And when we remember, we've talked about the shared platform. It has been incorporated in our policy. You know, the youth who form 65% of the total population of this country, the cooperatives is theirs. The future of our cooperatives is in our children. That's why we want to make sure that cooperatives also, we are ahead in terms of technology, that we are able to serve our young people, our youth, in the manner in which they would want to.
I know you also talked about, the non-remittance of members' contribution by some institutions, and you talked about some parastatals, you talked about some institutions of higher learning, county government. Between the three institutions, who is most affected?
We could say that the universities and the county governments, the two, they are culprits. And within our new bill now that is going to become an act, it's going to be very punitive, that the heads of those institutions will be held personally responsible, accountable for any remittances. And we have empowered the cooperative sector, the Commission of Cooperatives, to be given more powers to sue and be able to recover that money within 60 days. We are not going to wait the way we have been waiting for. And we are trying to find out from the Exchequer, can we, through Parliament, we are going to discuss and find out that, for example, when the Exchequer is giving the money to the county government, if they are in arrears, we will try to find out whether we can be able to get our deductions before the county governments, if they are paid their checks.
Yeah. I'll be coming back to you because I would want to find out, who owns you how much, between the learning institutions, between parastatals and the county government, and, how is this somehow affecting, the smooth running of these SACCOs, because they rely on memberships, remittances. But before we do so, remember we're having this conversation live from Broadcasting House, and we're looking at the future of the cooperative movement in this country, the challenges that the industry is facing, and of course, how the sector is responding to these challenges and the way forward. And most importantly, the opportunities that are presented. Of course, we are in the company of Daniel Marube, the Executive Director of Cooperatives Alliance of Kenya, and David Mategwa, the Chairperson of Police National Sacco. This conversation continues, but for now, we want to link up with our reporter